Do you like the Create mod? Do you also like CraftyFoxe and building CraftyFoxe builds, but wish that there was a way to put them into the Create mod so that your CraftyFoxe Thomas could drive just like your other Thomas? Well, look no further, I have the solution. Hello everybody, my name is Bubby Craft, and today we're going to be upgrading the CraftyFoxe Thomas into the Create mod. Come with me and let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is have yourself a CraftyFoxe build. And what I've done here is I've built the tutorial. I've run through the tutorial that he sent me, and this is the finished product, if you will, of the tutorial for Thomas. I'll put the link to this video's description, I'll put the link to this video in the description down below. We need to do a couple of things differently in order to make this Thomas work on the Create mod, though. First things first, unfortunately, we have to get rid of the banners. Banners do not work on Create mode contraption, or create on the Create mod contraptions. Next thing we need to do is we need to get rid of those carpets and the pistons. Unfortunately, pistons that are activated do not work as in a contraption either. So what we're doing is we're just replacing those pistons with the red concrete, and we're going to go into the steamnrails mod, and we're going to grab the big buffers and just place down big buffers in the place where the pistons were extended. These buffers will stick to a Create mod contraption and will make Thomas look like he still has his buffers. Now, how do we do the number 1? Because that is what makes Thomas Thomas. For that, we're going to reach into the Copycats Plus mod, and we're going to grab ourselves a Copycat Bite. And what we're going to do is where we had our banner, we're going to remove these blue blocks right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to place down, you know what, just to be safe, let's remove those instead. So we have a bigger number 1. We're going to place down a backing. Oops. A backing first. Let's place down just a bunch of copycat bites. Give yourself a nice little cave to work with. Because as you saw, when you place them down like this and you've made a mistake, if you delete it, it's just going to delete the whole block. So if you want all of those filled in, place this L shape first, and then fill them in with the light blue concrete, and then place your second layer. Now we've got this giant L. So what I did in my experimentation, I just grabbed yellow wool, and we're gonna just place yellow wool just like that. Now we have a number 1. Look at that. Thomas has a number 1. We're going to repeat the same thing on this side, making sure that we have the exact same blocks, but this time we're going to make a backwards L. Place down our same copycat bites as before. Fill those in. Another thing you can do too is you can have the blue concrete in your offhand and just place down those bites like that. Awesome. Now we're going to fill this in with the bytes without a color so that we don't accidentally make a mistake. And we're going to place... Oh, you know what? We're going to accidentally realize that we've placed down the wrong spots here. But it wouldn't be a Bubby Craft tutorial if I didn't make some sort of mistake. So in this case, we have a much larger area for our number 1. And we're just gonna fill in the rest of this stuff with our blue concrete. And now we have a number 1 on both sides of Thomas. Excellent. The next thing that we want to do is we want to come down here to the wheels and we want to remove those blocks. So again, that was this block, this block, this block, this block, and this block. And we want to do that on the front there, on the front wheel, and then we want to do that on the back wheel. The reason we want to do that is because we're going to be placing what are called bogies onto our tracks in order for Thomas to sit on those bogies and be able to move. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Again, just for the front and the back wheels. And there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab what's called a schematic and quill. This is from the Create mod. And what we're going to do is we're just going to right click any block. And if you're in creative mode, just start flying and you'll see this blue box appear around Thomas. And what we're going to do is we're going to start our blue box on this first red piece of concrete. And we're going to end our blue box right here on this piece of light blue concrete. We're going to stand or fly or hover at the back of Thomas. And we're going to hold Shift and Spacebar at the same time so that we stay in the air and we've still got the Shift button placed, or crouch. And then you're just going to take your mouse wheel and pull your mouse wheel towards you. You see how that box gets bigger and comes towards you? That's what we're looking for. The same thing happens on either side. You can grow or shrink the box on all the sides that you wish, including the top. Once you have that completed, what we're going to do is we're going to just come down to any side of Thomas, break a couple blocks in front of us, and do the same thing. Shift and pull the mouse wheel towards us on the bottom so that we get the bottom of the schematic. Once you have that box completed all the way around your build, you're going to right click and it's going to bring up a schematic name. You can type anything here. And once you have that typed, once you have your schematic named, you can just literally name it whatever you like. You could name it Thomas, whatever you wish. You're going to click the Save button, and it's going to tell you down at the bottom in those white letters that Thomas was saved. Okay, for our next step, what we're going to need is some rails placed down, or some train track. So just place yourself down some train track. I made myself a little oval. And we're going to grab the train station block. We're going to right click anywhere on the track and just place that train track down. Next, we're going to right click the train station and select Create a New Train. From there, we're going to go over to the schematic table and you're going to place an empty schematic inside of the the thing over here. Actually, we'll just grab an empty one so you can see what it looks like. So you place an empty schematic over here, and you'll just search through your list and find your schematic. Once you have your schematic selected, you'll just click the check mark here, and it's going to shoot through here and come out the other side looking like this. You'll place the schematic in your hand and right click anywhere in the world, and it will place a ghost version of that schematic, one that you can pass through, that sort of thing. It's going to place the schematic exactly how you copied it. So in our case, Thomas is facing that way, so Thomas is going to be facing that way as well. We're going to hold down the left Alt button because that's the default button when using the schematics. When you hold down the left Alt, you see how that bottom window gets a little bit darker and fills in? And you can use your mouse wheel to go through and select the different things that you need. So we're going to click rotate, or we're going to select rotate, I should say. And by selecting it, I mean you just move your mouse wheel and leave it on rotate, let go of Alt, and it's on rotate. In order to get it to rotate, you're going to crouch and move your mouse wheel, and Thomas will rotate. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to stand in front of Thomas. We're going to make sure that we've selected the Move XZ, crouch, and we're going to scoot Thomas back just a little bit. The reason that we want to do that is because what we want to try and do is we want to place down a train wheel, so that way we know exactly where we're going. So we're going to grab a train casing and push the left Alt button again to open up the train casing menu. We're going to choose the comically large wheel, click the check mark, and right click on the wheel, on that little blue space. And what that did was it placed down a wheel for us. So we're going to go back to our schematic, and we're going to crouch, and we're just going to pull Thomas over top of that wheel. And we'll see here how we've got the first part of the front wheel placed right where we need it to go. And what we're going to do is just make sure that we're facing left and right correctly. Come over to the other side, just make sure that our wheel is placed in there. And perfect. What we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the print side, and we're going to shift and click. You might be wondering, why does it look like there's a banner there, and why are there pistons? I wanted to show you what happens when you make your build without replacing the banner and without replacing the pistons. So we're going to right click while holding shift or holding crouch. Oh, sorry, we're not going to hold crouch. We're just going to right click to print. And that's going to place down our builds. And I forgot, I have the setting turned on where it removes blocks. So we're just going to place down another wheel. And now we've got Thomas with his first wheel. So up to this point, this should be where you are. Remember, I am just showing you what happens when you place down just a schematic with the banners and the pistons. Your schematic should have Thomas with our number 1 that we've redesigned, as well as the buffers if you're using the Create steamnrails mod, and if you're using the Create Copycats Plus mod. Coming back over to our Thomas, we're going to go ahead and grab another wheel, and making sure that our wheel is going to be right in the middle. Remember, in the CraftyFoxe tutorial, this last stone brick stair was on the right side of the last wheel, and this prismarine brick stair was the middle of the last wheel. You're going to hover your mouse over that track that's right below the prismarine brick stair, and you're just going to right click. That's going to place another wheel. One thing that you can do, if you have the extended bogies mod, you can place down 3 wheels like this, and there is the ability to unlink the bogies if you can actually get in there, which I can't get in there right now without destroying Thomas. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to just move this with an empty hand. We're gonna shift, and it doesn't work with the large bogies. Okay, so never mind. Alright, so we're gonna place back down our wheel. We're gonna grab our stone brick stairs. And on my version, I've still got I took off the bottom of the middle wheel as well, thinking that I could test it and see if it works, and it does not. So we're just gonna rebuild our wheel. There we go. All right, from here, another cool thing that you can do to your Thomas is you can actually give him a whistle. So once you have your schematic placed down and you've got your wheels, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a fluid tank from the create mod and a whistle from the create mod. We're gonna come up here and we're gonna remove this oak fence gate as well as that piece of light blue concrete. We're gonna place down the fluid tank and then the whistle on top of it. You're gonna take your create wrench and click your whistle twice to give us the smallest whistle that we have available to us. Next thing we want to do is we want to come in the cab. We're going to grab a train control and a seat. You can grab any color seat that you have available to you. You don't need to install mods to place down a bunch of different seats. But Create does come with a bunch of different colors to choose from. And there are other mods that you can install that do add different seats and decorative blocks. Now, we're going to place down our train control right here in front of the firebox, and then our seat right behind it. And our last step is we're going to grab some glue. What we're going to do here is we're going to place down a couple of temporary blocks. We're going to put a temporary block in the front and then to the right. What we're doing here is we're going to start our glue from right here, similar to what we did with the schematic and quill, but we're going to start our gluing from right here. Before we actually do the gluing, we're going to place another temporary block here, move it back so that it goes past the buffers, and then up so that it goes above the level of the roof and the smokestack. So we're going to right click our temporary blocks and bring the glue line all the way to our other temporary block. Now we're going to remove our temporary blocks. And Thomas is glued. Now, to show you again what happens when you have a banner and pistons that are extended or activated through redstone, to finish Thomas, we're going to right click the station and we're going to come down here and click Assemble Train. See what happens? The banners fly right off, but the pistons stay. Now watch what happens when we actually drive Thomas. So our next step is we can right click the seat and sit, right click the train control, push F5 to zoom out, to be able to see what you're doing, and you can start driving. You see what happens? Thomas just drives off and there's parts left behind. Now, the way to fix that, if you accidentally don't glue Thomas the way that I did, you make a mistake, you add back on your wheels, and you want to get things glued, the best way to fix that is just to drive back to where you were. Make sure that you see that little box down there that says hold space to approach track station. What we're going to do is we're going to hold the space button, and it's going to put Thomas back exactly where he was. So we're going to right click the station, disassemble the train, grab our glue, right click our blocks that we're missing, and make sure to connect those blocks. And just for illustrative purposes here, just show you once more, we're gonna grab the glue back, right click our missing pieces and drag that box up, right click again, and now our missing pieces are attached to Thomas. No matter what you do, right clicking the piston, dragging it over here, attaching it to anything else, it does not matter what you do, that piston, because it's extended, will not stay. Another cool thing, I just want to go ahead and showcase this right here. This banner that he made is absolutely amazing. Just the ingenuity of that alone it's just perfect. The number one, I love it. I love it. So I'm going to make a quick cut here, and we're going to replace this Thomas with that Thomas so you can see what it looks like fully completed. One thing that I did forget to share when placing a schematic, if you go to the move Y, you can make your schematic move up and down. I do want to just also make a quick note that these train tracks are called the wide dark oak train tracks. When you're selecting your tracks, you'll have a bunch of different options available to you through the steamnrails mod. You'll have just the regular train track in create, of course, and you'll have the narrow gauge create. I believe there's a narrow gauge create. Something, I don't know, you'll figure that part out on your own, but what you're going to want to be selecting is the wide versions. So make sure that it says wide when you're selecting, because the wide version allows you to use the comically large bogie. So now that we've got our Thomas placed and everything's done and he's assembled, we're going to come in and just show you a couple of shots here of Thomas driving around. You might be thinking to yourself, you placed on a whistle, how do you use it? Well, while you're driving, just push the shift button or the crouch button. Well, I should say for me, it's the left shift button. For you, if you push your crouch button, you're gonna stop controlling the locomotive. So I don't know what button it would be for you. For me, it's the left shift. It might be your control button. I don't know. But there is a way to do the whistle. And if you know how to do it, if it's not left shift, let me know in the comments below. But make sure to thank CraftyFoxe in the comments. I had reached out to him to see if he'd like to do a collaboration. And this is what he said we would do. So here you go. If you like the video, like the video. And we'll catch you in the next one. Until then, thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.